dee dee. It's the song that's leading us into Jennifer. Let's not
Who
forget.
knew?
Let's
Who
not.
knew that my husband danced to first of all, who knew my husband danced? A. B. Who knew my husband danced to the intro song?
Well, it's become so known to me. I was just, connecting with the fact that, in this moment, I just choose to be playful. So
Okay.
there you go. And
Finding playful in times of great change.
over.
Are you sure?
No, I'm not sure, but I'm going to do it anyway.
Okay. All right. That was Adam Lamb, my friends, holding it down for all the stuff that makes this actually work. So I am happy to be here. It's Jennifer Huff. It is day 10 of finding peace in times of great change. Playful is definitely wonderful. I'd love to hear from everybody from all over the world. Where are you hailing from? What's your word for today? We hope you enjoyed last night. And equally, we hope that you enjoy today just as much. Today, in fact, is all about cultivating what you do in times of uncertainty. Today, I had an amazing conversation with one of our staff. Also,
Was that me?
oddly,
Was that me?
no,
You had the
no, it was not. No,
We had another amazing conversation, though.
we did have an amazing
It
conversation.
was just with another staff member.
Yes, it was.
Okay.
Yes. Okay. So with a staff member, oh my God, I have a feeling I'm gonna have to deal with this the entire time today. So,
Did you mean right now?
just wow. So one of the things that I noticed in that conversation is that there's a place within even our company here at the Wide Awakening where, so think about your family. Think about where that's at. For people in the US, you're coming up on Thanksgiving, right? Think about where everybody is at. Have you found your new normal after recent events? Have you I'm glad that you're still there, Katerina. Have you found your let's say solidity, your your foundation with such a major aspect of consciousness changing? Do you still feel a little bit floaty or a little bit uncertain? And in this conversation, what we were talking about is this idea that maybe roles are changing, or maybe that um, we get to answer the question, what's the greatest thing I can do in times of great change? Right? What's the greatest thing I can do with the skills I already have that would make the biggest difference, have me waking up inspired and going to bed knowing that I am doing what I came to the planet for? So maybe that changes, maybe it doesn't. But it would be a good time to ask that question, I would say. And so there are some things going around the internet that I wanted to discuss tonight, just as a paradigm shift. And hello to everybody all over the world today. So, yeah. So it's a post that got passed around quite a bit by Elaine Proctor. And I want to read it in entirety first. And at the same time, at the end, I'd like to I'd like to cause a little paradigm shift around this and posts like it. Not saying that they're wrong, just saying that if there's a lot of carrying in a lot of the language going on out there. Before I want to frame this conversation tonight, first by everybody taking a big breath like I did by taking my walk before the sun went down. Let's all take a big breath in. Here, it's the end of a new day. On the other side of the room, it's the start of a new day. Just breathe. Know that on my walk, it was very clear to me that polarity is always due to a lack of understanding. Much like our conversation last night with beautiful Greg, there is a chasm, really. He said valley. I'm going to say chasm, not to over dramatize it, between a lack of curiosity and coming to truly understand. And right now, in my heart, I feel a true yearning to be curious about my fellow man and woman, rather than feeling like there is an other over there. I am so curious as to how we come together. Now, I had an amazing discussion with a client right before getting on here. And she jumped all over an idea that I'll share with you once I get her permission. That's literally an idea that is birthed of the two sides that creates a third entity that's all of us together. So good. But I don't want to talk about that. But this is all that I was thinking about on my walk. That really what's being catalyzed right now is not a time that's about how does our side win or how does our side lose or how does our side. The conversation right now is how do we come together so that we understand each other so this world can work for all of us, not just some of us. All right. So here's what's going all over the internet. Don't give up on this year. Keep fighting for the good. Keep showing up. Keep loving. Keep giving back. Keep being kind. Keep being brave. Keep caring. Keep trying new things. Keep showing grace. Keep on. This world needs you to believe in the good. So one of the things that's interesting about this post that's going around is that it's almost like anything that isn't how you believe is not good. And it could be interpreted that way. I'm not saying that that's what it's saying. You have to understand there isn't a person alive that isn't trying to do what's best for them or what's best for their family. They really do believe in what they're doing. And so what's good for another might not seem good for you or vice versa. Is it really about giving up on this year? Or is it actually about creating going forward? Are we going to be catalyzed or are we going to be victims? I went through a huge thing earlier this year about being a victim of my circumstances. And God bless my husband and a feisty member of my team who are just annoyingly tenacious. And
What do you mean, me?
yes, this time I do mean you. Yes, I would call him a loving pain in the butt.
Well, maybe the lower thigh, just to be blunt.
So I wonder in your life, I'd love for you to write down who is someone that actually holds it down for you being your best self. Really, truly, who is someone that holds it down for you being your best self? Just type it into the comments. I want to hear. And why? What do they do for you? The next question I want to ask is, do you feel like you're going to give up on this year? Or is this really about hedging your bets about everything that's going to hurt you? And this is a discussion for tonight, or the exercise I want to bring forth tonight. Oh, and by the way, today we were going to have on a dear doctor friend who does some powerful work in breath, and we are going to switch the date up on that because we had to do that. Right. So who is it? Who is that for you? Maybe you need to call them. Or maybe they're, people that you need to talk to. Well, then, Katerina, I'm glad you're here tonight. Who literally keeps calling you up to who you really are? Right? So, a discussion that I had earlier was all about how we hedge our bets. Listen, at this point, with all the polarity in the world, you literally have nothing to lose. Everything is up in the air. Every system, the medical system, the political system, the monetary system, the everything that you can imagine is absolutely up in the air. You understand? And all of them, the ecology, the economy, banking, all of it. Now, it could feel a little unsteady. It could feel a little bit like what I talked about earlier, like there's a floaty feeling like, "Oh my gosh." Or it could be the most grounding catalyst in the world, meaning there is so much carrying that we've been doing, and now we know where one of those things landed, for instance, in the election. And since it landed in that place, we really literally don't know what's next. We don't know what's next for the world order. We don't know what's next for us. We don't know that there's a lot. Now, when you're in that much of a blank slate moment, you can keep hedging your bets, but in truth, how is that even a choice? Like, just be careful. I'm just gonna, there's a part of the base of your brain, there's a part of the back of your brain at the base called the amygdala. You can also call it the reticular activating system. That's part of it. There's another part that we call it the reptilian brain. It's the part that kind of is vigilant for everything that can go wrong. And it tends to be a part of the brain that catalyzes this worry about the future, a future that hasn't even happened yet, that there are millions of possibilities, but they're not happening right now. What's happening right now is you and I are having an exchange with the side order of Adam jumping in tonight for some reason. And so, right? So we're having this exchange. And in this exchange, that's what's happening. That's what's happening right now. And all one a day is a series of nows. There is no out there. There is no future. There's only right now. And in right now, there are choices to be made. But your amygdala, and by the way, right now taps you into every possibility. Right now can tap you into that 0 point where you can get some of the solutions. Right now, most people would want to be in gratitude and love. Right now accesses you to that bridge from either not even being curious or at least having knowledge, and then we have the chasm, and here we have understanding. And Greg shared last night that the way across is compassion. It's seeking to understand. But you don't seek, we don't, I don't, nobody does seek to understand when we have even a modicum of fight or flight going on. You know, there's an adage that I love that someone shared with me yesterday. Um, Someone who's going to be one of the guests. And it's the adage, I once heard it as an allegory from the Indian tradition. I mean, like the Indian, like India and Pakistan, India. And in that tradition, there's a story of a farmer. The farmer has two sons, and there's conscription for the army, and and one of his sons is the right age. And everyone's like, "Oh my gosh, that's so bad, Farmer John." And Farmer John goes, "Yeah, well, whatever. It's neither bad nor good. It just is what it is." And then that son breaks his leg and he can't be conscripted into the army. And everyone's, "Oh, that's such good luck." And everyone's like, "Yeah." And then he gets an infection in his leg and that son dies. And everyone's like, "Oh my God, it's so bad." He dies. And then all of a sudden, the son who's left is too young to go in the army. "Oh my gosh, that's so good, farmer." And then that son is trying to help his dad because he's the only one, and he lets all the horses out of the pen and they all get lost. And everyone's like, "Oh my God, that's so bad." And then all of a sudden the young man says, "I'm gonna go out and find them all." Not only does he find all those horses, but then he finds all these other horses, these wild horses that are there to come to be part of the herd, and they all willingly come to be a part of the farm. And everyone's like, "Oh my God, that's so good." And the farmer in every instance says, "Good or bad, I don't really know." That farmer is the wisest of us all because instead of projecting a future, he's dealing with what is. And when you deal with what is, you stay in the present moment. And when you're in the present moment, you can be inspired about the future or have some desires about the future. But when you actually live your life knowing that it's just a series of present moments, you get to ask yourself, am I coming today from my fear of a future that might happen that hasn't happened yet? Or am I contributing to my now and therefore the now of the people around me and making this world, my community, my neighborhood, my family a better place? And as soon as that amygdala kicks in, future projecting a series of possible outcomes that may or may not happen, it takes you out of the land of possibility of how you can build a compassion bridge, do something creative, send out thank you cards, whatever it is. It's a form of hedging your bets. And you might say, "Oh, Jennifer, I just have a habit of doing that. I can't stop. I'm just an anxious person." But what I'd like to share tonight is that you have a choice. We have a choice. In times of uncertainty, does it give you more resolve? Do you choose to have more resolve? Not to save the world, like that quote that I shared earlier. And I want to go back to it for a moment. That quote that I shared, is actually kind of interesting because that quote that I shared is really about, you know, Don't give up on this year. Keep fighting for the good. Don't fight for the good. You don't have to fight for good. And implying that there's good means there's bad. If you fight for good, there always has to be bad. Because the good is always fighting against the evil or the bad. If you want to fight, you're literally creating the opposite side. So, how about we just stop fighting for it? How about you just go and be a movement of one? So, I'd love to see a list from all of you. You know, one of the things that I thought of today is this time where, from my state of presence, I realized that I hadn't written a thank you card to someone. And, you know, sometimes I get so busy, these little things kind of slip away. And I wrote this personal thank you card about 5 years ago. And about, I don't know, 2 months after I sent it, I got a phone message. And the phone message said, "Do you know that my husband just passed away? And I didn't open your card until right now." And the message in your card is literally exactly what I had been asking for so that I could feel more complete in my heart. You have no idea what a difference it made to me. Now, did I know I was going to say the exact right thing? No. But I felt inspired to write the card. And she couldn't read it because she was so busy dealing with her husband's death. The other day, out of the blue, I have a friend that lives here. Some of you know Tika. And her husband, Richard, just passed away. And out of the blue, about 2 days before he passed, I texted her. And then I called her. And I said, "What's going on?" And it's only from my state of presence, from that 0 point, that I can make those unconsciously competent, guided reach outs to see how someone is doing. And we had the most extraordinary conversation of validation and exactly what there was to do. And so what I'm sharing with you today is that when I woke up the morning after the election, for instance, I felt the choice point. And the choice point was, am I going to continue with any hedging of my bets by worrying about futures that don't even exist? Do I want to do that? Do I want to waste any part of my life? Do I want to waste my creativity, waste my presence, waste my ability to tap into all of consciousness? Do I really want to? Is that the way, I have this life. I'm in this lifetime right now. Do I actually want to hedge my bets with any of that? So tonight, in times of great uncertainty, just consider whether you want to stay in survival mode anymore. Survival mode is where you continue to hedge your bets, predicting futures that haven't happened yet. It's okay if you do. There's no judgment. It's totally fine. Truly. Been there, got the t-shirt. Truly. I'm just sharing my journey, which is at this point, I'm not actually willing in my life, in my marriage, in my business, in my relationships. Not to say that I don't have foibles and I don't get it wrong. But at this point, I got nothing to lose to be all in. What about you? So I'd love to hear your perspective on this. I'd love to hear your comments. Where are you at with this question for yourself? What stops you? Is there anything that I can assist with? Think about that as you're typing in the comment field. Tonight, let's do a little process to show you. If you've never done this before, it'll be fun. And if you have done it before, it's still going to be fun. Let's do a little process that's kind of fun to show you what's possible when you're in your full presence doing something that's creative. It's just a small example, but it's a big example when you extrapolate it. I want you to take both your hands, okay? Take both your hands and choose the hand, or sorry, put your hands together, but line up the little lines on your wrist, make sure your wrist lines are lined up, like the very first line. Just make sure those lines are lined up, and then put your hands together. And you'll see that my right hand is shorter than my left hand. So I'm going to pick the shortest hand. That's the one you want to choose, is whatever the shortest hand is. We're going to do an exercise with your shortest hand, okay? If both of your hands are the same, and by the way, don't just watch this exercise because there's no juice in this. If you just, if you just watch it, the juice is when you actually do it, okay? So you're picking the shortest hand, or you're picking the hand. If your hands are the same length, then you're going to pick the hand it's the handedness that you are. So if you're right-handed, you pick the right hand. Left-handed, left-handed. Okay. So we're going to talk to your hand, and we're just going to have this experience together that's very silly. So if anyone's watching, just know that they're probably going to think that you're very silly. Okay. If no one's watching, then let it rip. Even if they are, let it rip. Okay, here we go, because we're not hedging bets anymore, right? Okay, we're going to talk to our hands. So you're going to repeat after me. I love you so much, hand. You're going to repeat. Next thing is, hand, for everything, every food that you've put in my mouth, every baby that you've held, every hug that you've given to people you love. I thank you, hand. I'm so appreciative of my hand. So just say something like that to your hand. Hand, I feel that you might be willing to go on a journey. Say that. Hand, I can feel you stretching and growing. Repeat after me. Hand, I can feel you becoming more. Hand, I feel you relaxing into a greater state. I'm so grateful that you're on my team, hand. Thank you for stretching. Thank you for growing. Thank you for relaxing into a longer and a bigger state for me. Thank you for being my partner. Just say that to your hand. Tap into the gratitude. Shake your hand a little. And now get your hands lined up again. Make sure you're right on those lines, or those lines come perfectly together, and put your hands back together. Now you'll see that my right hand is now the same length as my left hand. Now, for about 90% of you, that happened. I'd just like to see in the comments, for who did that happen? Who did that happen for where you noticed that it grew, right? Now, for some of you, you may have noticed that it didn't change at all. Usually that's a hydration issue, okay? It's a hydration issue or it's a spinal issue. So I'm so glad that you're all you're all not broken. I'm so glad. Your body's on your side. How fun. So what I want you to notice, and this is interesting because it really is in response to my friend um um uh my dear friend Seraphim, who earlier was saying that being thankful for someone making changes. I want to share with you right now that this exercise is about you being the one. That this time is not about, it's not about giving our power away at all to so-called leaders, no matter which side of the fence they're on, even if they're in the middle, it just doesn't matter. Because there's so much in the air, the resonance and the alignment and the congruence of humanity doesn't start outside of ourselves with anybody else. It starts inside of you. It starts with you being in alignment with why you're alive. It starts with you being in flow. So I had one last client today that I wanted to share with you because I certainly want to pay her forward. She's so amazing. And she lives in Canada on the beach of Georgian Bay. She's just so awesome. And she said, Jennifer, I'm just so appreciative of every day. I'm so appreciative of every breath. I literally take such joy in my interactions with people. I'm vigilant for the blessings. I'm deeply appreciative of what is and absolutely vigilant for more. It doesn't matter what your life is right now, but if you're appreciative of what is and vigilant, literally keeping your awareness trained, not from the base of your amygdala, where your amygdala, your fears, and your anxiety are driving the bus, but where you're knowing the possibilities that have happened before are before you again, and you start to be vigilant and tune yourself to the blessings. It takes a lot of practice. But when you do that, just like we talked about in the first 2 days of this 21-day process, when you tune, when you start being trained in being vigilant for blessings, what happens is you'll actually see them everywhere. The greatest way to tell your consciousness to look for and be vigilant for those things and tune yourself into that level of life. And it's not to say that we're going to be Pollyanna. This is to say that this is going to change your frequency. Changing your frequency changes the frequency of people around you. I can promise you that this woman changes the frequency of everybody around her. And truly, if lots of people change their frequency, the frequency of the whole changes. It starts with you. There is no one outside of you that's going to change that. And if you give your power away to a leader or a political party or I don't know, a country, this, or that, I don't know, even a spiritual leader, anything, if you give your power away, what you're saying is my happiness, my fulfillment, the meaning in my life depends on, I voted for, I follow the person that is going to actually somehow out there by some miracle do the things that, I mean, it'll screw up your relationships. It'll create codependence. Oh, my sweetie makes me so happy. Well, they can do things that you become happy about. But as Khalil Gibran says, you don't want to build a tent. This person being this way makes me so happy, but if one person has a bad day, all of a sudden the tent falls down. You really want to build a house with 2 strong walls and a roof, right? So I hope this was helpful tonight. I love you right back, Maria Simone. Miss you. And I just want to say to y'all, it's time to actually live in your sovereign awesomeness. Seek to understand, not to be understood. Build that compassion bridge between knowledge and understanding. Now is the time to find the 20% where we all come together, not argue about the 80% how we're different. We were born to be different. The foundation of the house is about the understanding. I love you guys. I love you guys. We got the embodiment workshop coming up again. You'll see the QR code in the middle there. Adam will leave that up long enough. We have the embodiment workshop, which the second day of that workshop is all about after on the first day we clear the decks. On the second day, we're literally going to be in the liminal space of possibility, taking that floatiness and deciding who you're going to be from here forward. The link is in the comments. And you have a lot to say. You already saw today, you have a lot to say, even just how about your body responds to you. I want you to know that life responds to you the exact same way that you demonstrated just by having a conversation with your hand. The key here is I want you to go back and check your hand right now, do it again, and you will see that it has gone back to the original size for most of you. And the reason it's gone back is because we're talking about something else and you haven't embodied the shift of your hand being longer. Embodiment is about actually making permanent cellular changes where what you declare becomes who you are. And it becomes how you occur to everyone around you. Can't wait to see you too, Rebecca. And I can't wait for tomorrow. Tomorrow, my beautiful friends, at 5:55, we do have a guest, Fisher. And that guest is going to be one of my, like, you'll see that I'm introducing you to a lot of my favorite people here in Asheville. One of our favorite people, Adam and mine, is Lori Ives, Godwin, um, who actually teaches heart math. We're going to do some heart math tomorrow. So we're going to marry our hearts with our brains and come into congruence. She is brilliant, brilliant, brilliant. She used to
Do we have to? Do we have
run the,
to?
yeah, she is, right?
No, but do we have to? Do we have to actually do that? Can't we just like hold everything in judgment and like try to find reasons why it won't work?
Just wow is all I had to say. Just wow. Wow, dude. Seriously. So, so that coherence, once you do it, and we're going to do a little heart math and embodiment too. So it's going to be fun. All right, you guys, I love you. Come tomorrow, 5:55. It's going to be a juicy conversation. And biggest hugs ever. Look for us on LinkedIn at 5:55. We're on LinkedIn. We're on facebook.com/Wide Awakening. We're on YouTube. You can find us all those places. If you're on YouTube, please, for goodness sakes, help us out by spread the word and to get this out there by following us and sign up for notifications. Love you so much. Katerina, way over there by Ukraine, know that you are not alone. We're giving you the biggest, squishiest hugs. And Yes. And Miss Seraphim, I know that it's all about embracing you are sovereign. You are just like all of us here tonight. You are one of my favorite unicorns, girl. So, all right, you guys, I love you. Have a great night. Thank you, Adam Lamb.